So on Friday, I ended up having one of my best trading days of 2025, going 6 for 6, a 100% success rate buying SPY call options. With that being said, in terms of today's trading, I ended up going 1 for 1, a 100% success rate once again, and I ended up buying SPY call options at 3 p.m. as soon as the power hour trading session started. I ended up selling those call options for a 200% profit return in just 20 minutes, and then later on throughout the power trading session, if you held runners, those calls went up over 500%. With that being said, I'm going to continue to prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. Let's get straight into the analysis. So, in terms of the overall SPY, this is what I want to bring awareness to. I'm going to be breaking down the weekly chart foundation, and I'm going to be explaining to you what the SPY would need to maintain for an overall strong bullish closing week. As of now, in terms of the overall weekly chart foundation, the SPY is going to attempt to have the foundation as a bullish closing week. So if the market's going to be on pace to close bullish, we're going to be looking for break and retest opportunities, and we're also going to be looking for oversold dip buying opportunities where key reversals are likely to occur. Now, with that being said, in terms of the weekly chart pattern, this is what I want to bring awareness to. And if you go back throughout the weekly chart history on the SPY, you are going to see that this pattern has a strong history of repeating itself many, many times, right? It's the green, red, green. You're going to see right here, man. We have so many times where the SPY formed the green, red, green pattern on the overall weekly chart in the bullish overall market, and it would just go up the next week, right? So in terms of the overall pattern and where we are currently at, you're going to see a lot of similarities, man. If you just look at these weekly patterns that I'm pointing out, you're going to see how they relate to the SPY's current price action. Let's get straight into it. So in terms of the weekly chart, you're going to see right here, we have this green weekly candle, this big red candle in the middle, and then you have a big green candle right here. Next week is overall bullish in terms of where it bottomed on that bullish week. It bottomed slightly below the previous week's high, right? So in terms of maintaining an overall bullish week, we're really going to want to maintain above this overall 545 range. For those of you who've been watching the videos, you're well aware that as long as the SPY is maintaining above 550, within time, it's going to be exploding up to the higher levels of 555 to 561 to 564. We still have that gap that's waiting to fill above 564. Now, with that being said, you can just see there's several times where the green, red, green pattern forms, and it looks literally just like this. It's literally identical. And then the next week is overall bullish, and it's showing that, the best opportunities in this situation for calls would be on oversold dips, even potentially when the overall week flips bearish. If the weekly candle is starting to look a little bearish and not green on the overall week, you can see right now the weekly candlestick is nearly green. It was green at some point during today, right? And then you're going to see green, red, green. Next week's overall bullish. So like I said, if you go back just historically throughout the SPY chart, you are going to see so many times where it was green, red, green, and the next week was bullish, right? So the pattern is there. It's already attempting to maintain above the 550s. And if we're maintaining above the 550s into this week, you are going to see the SPY really start to uptrend to that 555 to 560 range. But I'm telling you, man, just go back historically on the SPY and study how many times it forms this green, red, green weekly chart pattern. And the next week it's bullish, right? The same pattern in the weekly foundation that nobody else is teaching you, because this is my curriculum that I've created with my unique third eye. Now, with that being said, in terms of the overall daily chart, what the daily chart foundation, right? So you see how we started with the weekly chart to get a sense of the overall weekly chart, foundation and pattern and what to look for in terms of the overall week's price action. But in terms of the overall daily chart pattern, what the daily chart pattern is saying is this. This is what I wanted to point out. Do you see how the SPY is kind of downtrending sideways, and then it forms this red wick facing to the downside, and then the next day is very, very bearish, right? Well, to me, it looks like the inverse is happening. It looks like we're having this very nice uptrend to the right side. We're forming higher support. In terms of the previous week, this was resistance at 445. It's now support for 2 days, pushing for higher highs, right? And instead of this daily candlestick facing to the downside on a slanted downtrend, instead of this daily candlestick facing to the downside on a slanted downtrend, continuing to go lower, instead it's facing to the upside, right? So we have a floor for 2 days above previous resistance, and we have this slanted trend to the right side, and we have this daily candlestick facing to the upside, this daily wicks, right? So we're forming a higher floor. The trend is trying to maintain bullish. Now, in terms of what this daily candlestick pattern means, this is what it's going to be meaning to me, right? So it's leaning more on the bullish side, but for a true bullish trend day heading into tomorrow, we're going to need to hold above, slightly under the previous closing price. So for an overall bullish trend day heading into tomorrow, so in terms of the previous closing price, 551, based off the pattern slightly below that, right? So previous closing price, 550.85. In terms of slightly below that, I'm going to be using the pre-market chart. So in terms of the levels that I would say, this would be it, man. Like 549 to 500 and like 50 zone. That's the zone. If the SPY is holding above that zone, is considered bullish in a bullish trend day heading into tomorrow, and the focus will be to buy call options. So in terms of like the oversold dip buying zone to buy calls, you can think of this zone in terms of, a bullish trend day zone. If we're maintaining above 550 to 549, we're forming higher support, right? So in terms of this level, this is key extended hour support that has not been tested, where SPY is going to try to bounce first at this level. This is also a break and retest level. You have all this resistance right here. The SPY had a break, it retested, green, red, green is bullish, then it continues to uptrend, right? So once it's tested during normal trading hours and also during, before that pre-market tomorrow, we'll see how it's reacting. But the main point that I want to address in terms of that overall daily chart pattern to be bullish and for the SPY to be bullish heading tomorrow, we just need to hold above, slightly below the previous closing price. If we are holding above 549 to 550, it's overall bullish, and you're going to want to be avoiding puts. Even if we do go under 549, we are likely to potentially bounce first at this key trend reversal break and retest level. Look at the green, red, green pattern here, continuing to uptrend, right? But this level right here is very, very key, this 546.50. If the SPY does flip bearish, you can keep an eye on call options for a quick scalp at 546.50, right? So those are the main points that I wanted to bring awareness to in terms of a potential bullish trend day, heading into tomorrow. It could be something, similar like this, where you can see we form this V, this U, right? We form this V, this like U in a sense, pushing higher. Next day, it dips down, it gaps down, it hits a key support level, right? So if the SPY is starting to slip down a little bit, hits a key support level, what does it do? It bounces, it starts to bounce, it starts to recover, and then it flushes. Starts to bounce, then it starts to recover. So that overall recovery that I'm talking about, it could potentially occur in the pre-market, right? So if you're seeing the SPY drop back down to 549, 550, we're reacting bullish, we're exploding back up, the bullish potential move could have already played out, because based off this pattern that I'm showing you on the 10-day 30-minute chart now, this is another idea I have for you in terms of pattern recognition. If we do start to bottom out towards this 549 to 550 zone in the pre-market, and we're starting to explode up, one trade idea that I do have for you would be, right? So what I'm saying is, if we look something like this, if we're dropping back down towards, this zone right here, or this zone right here, early into the morning, ideally in the pre-market, then we have a strong uptrend. Instead of potentially trying to chase that, one thing you can attempt to do, and only try this early in the morning if you're going to do it, look for a bearish pattern, because the market could drop in that situation. The move could have already played out early in the morning pre-market, right? If you're seeing like a red, green, red overall pattern, or just a red bearish wick facing to the downside, starting to go under the previous closing price after having a dip back down to bullish recovery, that could be signs of a bearish drop, and then later it can potentially recover, right? It can potentially recover later. And in terms of like recovery zones to be buying call options, 546.50 to 544 to 545. Those would genuinely be the best levels for calls if the SPY drop back down to this zone first, started to have a bullish recovery, and then it sold back off later throughout the day, formed the red bearish candlesticks, failed to turn previous close price into support like it did right here, started to sell back off. Later into the day, if we're dipping back down towards these lower zones, you can try call options towards the zone. So I'm trying to show you multiple trade ideas in a sense, right? So just understand that's a 10-day, 30-minute pattern that is saying it could potentially flip bearish, especially if we're having that move already happening in the morning. And just understand, if that previous closing price is reacting bearish and we're faking out, you're seeing red, green, red, you're seeing a lot of resistance, a lot of bearish wicks, towards that previous closing price. And if that move already happened in the pre-market or market normal trading hours very early, it will attempt to flip bearish. But as long as, we're bottoming towards this higher zone and we're maintaining above previous closing price, and instead of forming resistance, right? So instead of forming resistance, red, green, red, bearish wicks, bearish wicks, bearish wicks, if it looks like the inverse, where this is basically flipped upside down, just literally flip these four candlesticks upside down in a sense, we're forming, a higher floor. If it looks something, just more like a higher floor, key trend reversal wicks, higher floor, above the previous closing price, then it's going to try to react bullish. Then we can go to 555 to 561 to 564 overall zone, right? So if we bottom towards this zone, form a higher floor, react bullish, we're on pace for 555, right? If we bottom towards the higher zone, react bearish towards the previous closing price, then we drop back down towards the lower zone, and then the lower zone is where we want to buy calls, right? So we're really only interested in buying those calls at the lower zone if the SPY is really reacting bearish and faking out towards that 551 overall level, right? If it's reacting bullish towards 551, I would keep some focus towards that 549 to 550 overall zone. So those are some points that I wanted to bring awareness to. That's the overall game plan on where to buy calls and where to buy puts. And like I said, man, just in terms of the situation with puts, if you're seeing that strong move up, and then we drop back down, turn the previous closing price into resistance, form the bearish candlesticks, start to go under previous closing price, you can attempt puts. Just be a little bit careful, man. It's got to have the best confirmations for puts, like a red, green, red, all this resistance. Just be a little bit careful, because regardless, even if it does drop below that previous closing price, there's going to be opportunities for calls. And that main number one play heading into tomorrow with everything I'm seeing is likely going to be calls, man. It's just looking for oversold opportunities to dip buy calls. If we had like a big crash, like we had today, oversold dip buying opportunities for calls at the zone, right? So just pay attention, man, because it could look something like this, how it plays out. We have this uptrend to the right side, sells off, pushes back up. So just look for those moves. Look for calls at the more oversold levels. Look for puts at the more overbought levels. And the overbought level for puts is going to be considered, slightly above that previous closing price. And it's not just as price. It's more just confirmations for puts. If you're seeing bearish confirmations, red, green, red, bearish roof at 551 or above 551, it could be towards 553, around that zone, or even 555 earlier into morning, you can attempt puts for a quick scalp. And then just look for calls for the oversold territory, 549 to 550, and then the best level is going to be 545 to 546.50 zone. So that's the overall game plan. That's the overall price action. In terms of a quick price ladder to give you, just understand if one of the levels reacts bullish, goes up to the next level. If one of the levels reacts bearish, it goes down to the next level. In terms of the ladder that I have for you, it's going to be 545 and 546.70. Break and retest is the higher level. Key support not been tested is the lower level. That's an auto buy zone for calls in a sense if it drops to that tomorrow. And then in terms of next level, 549 to 550, that's a key support zone where SPY is going to try to bounce first and have a spike first for potential calls. It could play out earlier in today, like in the pre-market potentially. And then in terms of levels for puts, just understand slightly above the previous closing price to 553 to 555 zone, mainly if there's just bearish confirmations. So ideally like a ceiling, a roof for an hour plus, trend reversal, wicks facing to the downside, red bearish candlesticks. And it's more ideal if the SPY had a strong bounce. So if the SPY had if it dropped first, had a strong bounce at 549 to 550, then it climbed back up and formed the bearish confirmations, it's more ideal for puts. It's more ideal for puts in a situation. If the SPY dropped first, whether that's pre-market or earlier into the day, had a nice drop to 549 first, or even lower at 546 to 545, then when it goes back up to 551 and you see the bearish confirmations, then you could try puts if the bearish confirmation is there. Just understand, man, the main play is going to be calls in a sense, but look for those opportunities for puts if you're seeing the best bearish confirmations, man, right? So I explained to you in terms of, the overall weekly chart foundation is considered bullish. Best overall moves is to buy oversold dips and look for break and retest, right? So in terms of break and retest, one thing you're going to want to look for heading into this market, whenever the SPY, when the SPY is having strong breaks, just to show you in terms of like what this can look like, you can see right here, this was resistance, 551, a strong breakout, drops back down. It's going to try to bounce at 551. So if you're seeing a strong 2-point plus breakout, the bigger the better, and then the quicker the fall, the better. Look to potentially auto buy calls at that retest level. So you're just looking to identify some sort of resistance level throughout the day. If it has a strong breakout, 2 points plus above that previous resistance, and then it quickly drops back down just as fast as it went up or even quicker, then you could look for call options in that particular situation on the break and retest. And then the oversold dip buying opportunities, I told you, man, the higher zone is 549 to 550, but the true overall zone to just auto buy and less complicated and a lot easier to trade, 545 to 546.70. That's the game plan, man. The ladder, 545 to 546.70. Above that, 549 to 550. Above that, previous closing price, 551 to 553, 555. Above that, 561 to 564. Gap close reversal at 564. Overall week is currently on pace to close bullish. To maintain this overall bullish week, all we got to do is hold above this level. SPY is considered overall bullish as of now for this week if we're holding above 547, right? So as long as we're just holding above 547, even if we drop under for a little bit, if it climbs back up, reacts to support, closing above, holding above 547, we are considered bullish in that sense. So that is what to look for. That is the overall game plan in terms of the trades, man. Let's get into the trades. So in terms of the trades, you're going to see right here, the first trade on the day that GROAR ended up calling out, you're going to see right here, it was calls, and it did not work out. So 557 calls for 62 cents. The calls did not work out. The second trade at 11:09 a.m., this was phenomenal. 546 buy puts for 57 cents, and then adding to the winners. So the way to increase your gains within the market, and the way to increase your position size to double to triple it is to add extra R multiples, right? So in terms of these trades, we put in 1 R multiple into the trade, your max risk per trade, right? So you put in your max risk per trade, could be a couple percent of your accounts, 57 cents multiplied by 100, $57 a contract. Get started with one contract. Each contract, you can make $100 to $200 profit per contract. You can get started with a small account, right? Now, the way we increase our gains in a safe way is by adding to winners. If you're up and you add to a winner and you set a profit stop, it's going to be impossible for you to go green to red, right? So as you can see, when a loss doesn't work out, it could be 100% loss. Now, that means you're losing what you put into the trade, and what you're putting into the trade is your max risk per trade. It could be a couple percent of your account, right? Obviously, the more money you have, the less you risk. Now, with that being said, 546 puts worked out, and this was a much bigger win because we added to the winners. So if you're adding to a winner, that means you're putting in an extra 1 to 2 R multiples, which means you're going to double to triple your percentage gains in your dollar gains. So if you have a 100% loss, you lost 1 R multiple. But if you have a 100% win and you add it to the win, right, quickly into that, that's like winning 2 R multiples on the same percentage, right? And you set the profit stop. So I'm trying to explain to you, there's a way to win bigger and to win more without taking on extra risk because you're setting a profit stop. But also you can see in between this, you could see what we're doing with our overall system. The win rate doesn't matter. You could be very successful with the system because you're adding to the winners. It's like figuring out a way where we're successful and we have a very strong foundation to win. Think about this. You have a 100% loss, right? That's one loss. Your win rate's at 0. You're 0 for 1. Then you have a 100% win, but you added to the win, you doubled your position size, you doubled your gains. So you can think about it as like 2 wins, 2 100% wins. So in a sense, with a 50% win rate, you would be up 100% in that particular situation, right? So we're in at 57 cents. We quickly add to winners. In the mid 60s, we're adding 65 cents. And then as you can see, look at the puts. These are the option call prices moving in real time. Look at the puts, 128 cents, green as fuck, sold. So with those two trades on a 50% win rate, you are extremely green. Not only because that was a massive win from literally 57 cents to 128 cents, 100% win, right? You might be thinking, oh man, the last trade could have been 100% loss, but this trade's 100% win. Maybe we're at break even. No, because we added to the winners. We doubled that win. So technically, it's not just double the gains, but it's considered a 200% win. One trade, 200% win, not because it was a 200% win, because we doubled the position size, which made it a 200% win. You see what we're doing with the overall system? So that right there explains to you why adding to the winners, you could be extremely successful with just a 50% win rate in that particular situation. So that's phenomenal. And there was no adding to the loser, right? So in terms of the next trade, 543 SPY puts, 52 cents, that did not work out. It didn't work out, right? But look at the next overall trade. And before I say that this didn't work out, what you should know is in this particular situation, when you have a loss, this right here was a loss, right? Could have lost 100%, but this right here could have been a 200% win. So you are more than green enough to walk away. Even with the loss factored in, since you add to the winner and it was a massive win over 100%, you should be up enough to walk away. So if you're up enough to walk away and you choose to keep on trading, then the most you risk is 25 to 50% of your realized gains. If you give back 25 to 50% of your realized gains, then you have to force yourself to stop trading, because we're not going to go green to red, especially in a situation where we're green enough to walk away, but you chose to keep on trading. You have to also choose when to stop, which is when 25 to 50% of your realized gains are given back by you continuing to trade if that occurs, right? So the point is, you're already green enough to walk away. So it doesn't matter if this is a loss to begin with, because if you chose to take this trade and it went to 0, 100%, you're already green enough to walk away, right? So you're obviously not risking more than 50% of your gains in that particular trade. But this didn't work out. That's 1 for 3. Now, some people could say that's 1 to 3. Well, add it to the winner. It's considered a double the fucking win. So it's how you want to perceive and look at it, right? But the point is, look at this. 549 calls for 43 cents, right? This trade was even cheaper, lower risk. 549 SPY calls, 43 cents. After the puts did not work out, we ended up buying calls. Take a look. Adding to the winners, adding to the winners. Calls are up. Goes to 66 cents. What are we doing? We are adding to the winners. We are adding to the winners. That is going to double to triple your gains. Do you see how we figured out to have a system where the win rate does not matter? It does not matter on what your win percentage is. You are adding to winners to double to triple your gains, dollar-wise and percentage-wise, right? And you're setting profit stops to protect your R multiples that are in the trade. It's like you're adding more R multiples, but you're not risking the R multiples because your profit stop is going to protect you from going green to red. If you set a profit stop, it is impossible to go green to red. And when we add to a winner, there tends to be a very quick move within our overall favor, man. And that's going to double to triple your overall gains. Look at this, man. Calls in the money, 95 cents, 132 cents, sold. That is fucking amazing results. For going 2 for 4 on the day, that is fucking amazing. And again, if you see through the layers, you're going to realize that that 2 to 4 is different. It's like it doesn't even fucking matter, man. But for a 50% success rate and only adding to the winners and having gains on those winners over 100%, that is phenomenal fucking results. At the bare minimum, that means that each win was over 200%. In worst case scenario, the losses were at 100%. So you could look at it in a particular situation where the wins yielded 400% since we added to the winners to double to triple the position size, right? And in terms of the losses, it could have been 200% max. So in terms of this particular situation, if you doubled your position size adding to the winners, you could have walked away even with the losses up 200%. If you tripled, you could have walked away with 400%. Going 2 for 4, a 50% success rate in terms of that situation. GWAR was up over $11,000, but it just goes to show you how with our system, the win rate does not matter. And we normally have a much higher win rate, but in terms of us going green to red, like our green to red ratio, we are like never fucking red on the day. It just doesn't exist. In terms of what we fucking created, we rarely have a fucking red day. Because we have a system that actually works in prints, and it works on the strongest foundation where you don't have to take big risk, and also you don't need a high win rate. So in terms of my trading, I wanted to quickly show you and explain to you the trade that I ended up making on the day. So you guys are well aware that I prefer to trade. I trade best during the power hour trading session. It also works very, very well for my current schedule that I'm on. But in terms of the overall, my style of trading, I really do prefer, and what generally works best for me, especially as someone who's focused on education and trades the charts and prefers to wait for the chart to develop during the most volatile time, is during the power hour trading session, right? If you trade during the market open, it's going to be volatile. But even if you're right about the move, it can just go back and forth, and news can drop as well. And it's just really extremely volatile or choppy sometimes. But like the chart's less developed. I prefer to trade best during the power hour trading session. And also the contracts during power hour are really designed. They're getting ready to expire worthless. So if you can pick the right contracts that are far out of the money and sell them deep in the money, you can make the biggest percentage gains at the cheapest, lowest risk in the quickest period of time. And you guys are well aware that I'm all about the speed of fucking light with the way I trade. So, it's a way to make massive fucking gains without holding trades for a long period of fucking time. But like I said, it's chart development. I prefer to wait for the chart development. And in terms of a volatile time to trade when chart development, it's power hour. That's the best time, right? So this was the only trade that I make. This is the only trade that I made. You guys are well aware that I like to wait for the 30-minute candlesticks to close or open. That's when I normally make a trade with my 30-minute candlestick system. So I waited until 3 p.m. for my first fucking trade. This was the first message that I posted within the chat, right? My first fucking message. It could have made you over fucking 500%. That was my first message that I posted in the chat today. So like I said, I waited all fucking day to do this. I ended up buying SPY 50 calls at 37 cents a contract, right? So why did I alert these calls at 3 p.m., right? And keep in mind, G-Roar was also in calls before this, and his calls were already up 100%, and he was adding and selling into the fucking winners. But why did I choose to decide to alert a different strike at 3 p.m.? So in terms of this situation, right? Take a look at the patterns, man. The patterns say it all. Green, red, green, bullish uptrend. You see that? Green, red, green, bullish uptrend. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight 3 p.m. This is where I got on the calls. So this candlestick right here, 30-minute candle, I got in on the opening of this candle towards the lows. I got in right around here when SPY was literally at 549. I got in towards the lows of this candle. It shot up all the way to 551. Those calls went 1 point in the money. And then if you held till close, they went fucking 2 points in the money, right? So why calls? There was a green, red, green, bullish uptrend. There was a green, red, green, bullish uptrend, right? So we already established the green, red, green, bullish uptrend. It was at key support. Right? And SPY was also forming higher support. It was forming a green, red, green towards this previous resistance at higher support. Break, retest, green, red, green right here on the break and retest worked and it spiked, right? So those were main reasons in terms of continuation of the uptrend. But why 3 p.m.? Why literally basically right after this 30-minute candlestick closed, this candle right here when it closed, why calls right here? So I already explained to you in terms of the bullish momentum and uptrend where it's going to continue uptrend. Now, in terms of the exact candlesticks, this is what caught my attention. Look at this candlestick right here. You see this green 30-minute candlestick right here? Compare this right here to this right here. Do you see how they look identical? They're fucking identical. Now, another point from a price action point of view is this. This is resistance. Do you see all of this resistance? Resistance. Look, we're breaking out, we're retesting, and the 30-minute candle is closing above this previous resistance, which is bullish, right? So it's breaking out, it's retesting, and in terms of this candle, I mean, this really did it all for me. So it was a simple breakout and a retest with a bullish momentum pattern of the green, red, green. And when this green 30-minute candlestick formed on the same situation, the next 30-minute candle was strong and bullish, and it also continued to uptrend. And then if you look at this 30-minute candlestick right here that closed, it was the same candlestick right here. This 30-minute candlestick right here, this 30-minute candlestick right here, strong bullish close, strong bullish close. That pattern repeated itself to an exact T. So for those of you who apply the curriculum that I teach, I show you how to use the 30-minute trading system. I told you, I've created a system using the weekly chart and the daily chart. That's a foundation to understand if the week could be bullish or bearish. if the next day it could be bullish or bearish, right? And then I use the 10-day, 30-minute chart to dissect it, to break it all down and just make trades sometimes solely based off the 10-day, 30-minute chart with no weekly or daily chart foundation. That's more macro and just point of view on what can happen next day or next overall week. But the 10-day, 30-minute chart is dissecting trades in real time, and it doesn't, in the 10-day, 30-minute chart doesn't have to have a foundation based off of the weekly and daily chart, but you have to understand how to apply those foundations too. It gets more complex. But the point is, if you just looked at the 10-day, 30-minute patterns, you should have had strong awareness to what it is that I teach, showing you how history repeats itself, showing you the 30-minute candlestick patterns, right? You're just looking for similar price action, momentum, 30-minute candles to be repeating with similar strategies, break and retest, key level, stuff like that. But this is identical. This 30-minute right here is identical to this 30-minute right here. And look at the placement. This was resistance. You see all the resistance, right? Green, red, green. And you see how this 30-minute candlestick is closing above this resistance, right? This was resistance right here. This was resistance right here. SPY's breaking out. This 30-minute candlestick right here. This 30-minute candlestick right here. Closing above resistance. Closing above resistance. Next 30 minutes is bullish, right? And the candlesticks are identical. And then this 30-minute candlestick, you see how it's facing to the downside. And then this 30-minute candlestick, you see how it's facing to the downside. Next 30 minutes, strong and bullish close. Next 30 minutes, strong and bullish close. It's all predictable. You should have seen that. And the way to truly see something is not to just to have your eyes open, but to wait for it to actually develop. You can have your eyes very, very clear and open to the potential, but it could be a lot easier to capture a trend in real time when the foundation is already established and there's a true confirmation. There's just so much development, right? It could be a lot easier to capture a trend when it's genuinely developed and you see it for exactly what it is, right? And if you do this during power hour, 3 to 4 p.m., you're putting yourself in a situation where the biggest moves are happening in the market and the contracts we're buying are getting ready to expire worthless. But if the move goes in our favor, it's the biggest percentage gains to sell deep in the money. That's what we're doing, man. And I'm doing this at the best time possible. I have a very strategic system, and the best time to overall use the system in terms of the 30-minute educational system, the main best time to focus is when these contracts are getting ready to expire worthless, when the chart is already fully developed. You can literally just trade from 3 to 4 p.m. If you want, you could trade all fucking day. That's your fucking choice. But in terms of education, I genuinely believe if you were to just master one time frame, it would be the power hour chart. For those of you who are more focused on trading on an educational reason, I genuinely believe the best time to master in this overall market could be the power hour trading session as a foundation, but it's not as simple as that, man. This market, you genuinely have to move like water. You got to be highly adaptive. Sometimes power hour is not going to be a good time to trade. You got to be watching all different time frames, man. It gets so much more complex, but that power hour trading session is a great, foundation to have because the chart is developed. The contracts are getting ready to expire worthless. And if there's a big expected move, which there usually is a big move during power hour, obviously it's not going to be good all the time, but, getting ready to expire worthless, big expected potential moves, biggest percentage gains, right? It becomes a little bit more harder and complex when the moves aren't as big during power hour, and the timing is going to be a lot more important in that situation because there's not much time within your favor. Now, with that being said, as you can see, so this is my first message of the day, 550 calls at 37 cents. So I bought these 550 calls at 37 cents. 2 minutes later, everyone was fucking hyped up because all SPY was doing was just spiking as soon as I got in. And from there, I said, the 30-minute is supposed to close very strong. You're going to want to leave runners to sell at 3:30 p.m., right? Quickly went to 72 cents, set profit stops. With that being said, we had many people holding runners, and I ended up selling at 93 cents, so 37 to 93 cents, made it 200% on that. And that was my first trade that I gave out on the day, 200% win, leading the overall trend. You see, that's what I do. I wait for the trend to develop. Sometimes I could try to capture the trend early, but to be rich in the stock market, you don't have to be the first one to capture the trend. What you got to do is you got to capture the trend when the contracts are getting ready to expire worthless and sell deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains. And you can make the biggest gains on the overall day doing that in a very quick period of time, right? So I waited for the trend reversal to develop. I captured the trend in real time, and I captured it during the prime time, during the power hour trading session. And from there, I was so fucking green where I just decided to call it. I did give out analysis, and the analysis ended up working out fairly well after that. But we had plenty of people bank on that trade, man. Like, it was fucking amazing. I'm telling you, the fucking results, like, we've hit a point. Our energy, our group, it's sacred. It's like sacred energy, man. That's why, like, right now, I'm not like shouting and getting all hyped like that. I'm really trying to embrace and step into this, man, because this is like king energy and like sacred energy. This is genuinely fucking amazing, man. Like, but with that being said, man, it's like that's what I'm doing. I'm literally just waiting for the best fucking plays to show up and then capture them in real time and then explain to you why I took the overall trade. And you should start to see it the same way how I see it, because it works. It's not going to work all the time, but when you trade real-time zero-day options, you're going to realize the least important thing is the win rate. You got to focus on the strongest foundation, you know? If you could have a foundation where you could be extremely successful with the lowest win rate, then that means you're optimizing for the right way to trade, right? If you're relying on a win rate with trading, you're relying on a poor foundation. A win rate is like the fucking whipped cream on top, man. It's like you need the full fucking ice cream. You need the strong fucking foundation, right? So, anyways, man, you know, I made it very, very clear. This was good analysis right here. I said at 3:34 p.m. So it's gonna try to spike and then a small drop into the close. So at 3:34 p.m. this was analysis. And again, if I'm not in a trade and I'm giving analysis, what does that do for you, right? If I'm not in a trade and I'm simply giving you analysis, right? What can that do for you? It's how you use it. It can open your eyes up to price action, right? You can sit here and observe and watch the market and have your eyes open and not be in a trade, right? You can gain a lot of experience from that, and it can really help open your eyes. For me, in terms of, well, why didn't you take this overall trade yet? For me, it was more about discipline. And the reasoning is different each time. It depends on the overall setup. But for me, it was more about discipline because I was just so fucking green on that first trade. And it was also just, you know, realizing and respecting what it was that I just did. I waited the entire day to do that. And it was a 200% win. And like, I realized like, it's going to be hard to top that. And I just don't feel the need to take an extra risk. You know, I'm well aware, like I could take a small risk. I could just risk 20% of my profits on the next day and try to make more. But sometimes, I mean, especially for someone who, again, this isn't just like intuition. This is trading from like educational experience too. Based off of education, if I were to just go solely based off of educational reasoning with discipline, it really wouldn't make sense for me to make another trade. Just going purely based off the education, right? Obviously, if you're willing to take a risk, the risk could have made sense. It could have. I could have even hedged in a situation. But again, it just depends on how you want to use the market and how you see this. Because in terms of me, I'm far more than just a trader, right? I'm evolved into something much bigger and greater than that. But anyways, man, made it very clear that, you know, it's going to try to spike and then a small drop into the close. I said that at 3:34 p.m., 4 minutes after the last 30-minute candlestick opened, because you should already know why. Because this was the pattern, right? You had this green candle right here, this green 30-minute, and then you had this bullish 30-minute, right? Which is why I bought calls on the opening of this, right? And then if you just look at the overall pattern, this green was facing to the downside. What happened next 30 minutes? There was a small drop. You see the small drop and then a bullish close. There was a small drop and then a bullish overall close, right? That's why I said it's likely going to try to spike first. I did have a level in mind. I was interested at 549.50 using a break and retest on the 1-minute chart. I had identified a potential level where I was interested in potentially likely auto buying at that level, but that level didn't hit. But if you just looked at the 30-minute pattern, you should understand that overall analysis, right? And you can also think as our analysis, not just to open your eyes up and to point you in the right direction, but using the analysis, you know, it can be an opportunity for you not just to see, right? Sometimes you can use the analysis just to see, just to open your eyes up. And you could maybe even try to figure out why do we see it that way, right? I know we could try to explain better in terms of why that is. But like I said, if you apply the curriculum and stuff like that, you can try to figure it out. But you can also use it as a form of self-sufficiency. Oh, wow, this seems like a really good trade idea. Why come he's not entering that trade? There's a greater purpose than just me. I don't have to enter, you know, every trade. I could just give some analysis, and analysis helps in a lot of different ways. But it's different for every reasoning. But like I said, my first trade was just so fucking good. I didn't feel the need to keep on going. I mean, it's just, you know, you have to learn within the market to walk away at your highest. it's just a good feeling. Even if, logically, well, I'm just going to risk, 20% of my profits. And if the trade works out, well, fuck, I'm going to make a fuck more ton of money. It's like, I understand that, but it's just, there's certain situations, especially in terms of like, speaking from like education, there's just certain situations where it just logically makes sense if I'm trying to serve a greater purpose and just really like keep the focus on education too, to just walk the fuck away. It's like, dude, that was the best setup at the best fucking price. I know we could take a YOLO here and make some more money and, risk, we get back some profits. But it's just like out of respect in just certain situations too, it does make sense to leave on a high note, especially if you have something that's just genuinely like rare and special and pay your respects to that. But I completely get from a logical point of view, you could try to take a YOLO, you could try to risk more to make more. I completely get it. But like I said, man, I'm just at a point where this is just so much greater than just trading and trying to make the most amount of money. I'm really trying to focus on the absolute best that it is that I have. But yeah, man, you can use the analysis if you want in certain situations. You can use it to test your self-sufficiency. If you see something in the analysis, instead of waiting around for us to make a trade, you can potentially make a trade on your own, right? So again, in terms of the situation, it can push you in all realms, not just a real-time zero-day options trailer system, but it can push you in all sorts of different realms, man. You gotta look through things through different fucking lens. Everyone's in different situations. But like I said, I mainly did it out of respect on just how amazing the first trade was. It's like, if I'm going to wait all day for a trade and then my first trade is going to be like the best fucking trade I could have made in the day, it just doesn't make sense to like lower that type of vibration, to try to risk more, to make a little bit more. Even if the risk makes sense, it's just like out of respect for everything that I'm building and like what I'm becoming, it just genuinely doesn't make sense to like keep on fucking pushing. And like I said, man, there's just so much more than fucking life than just trading, especially like if you create a curriculum that prints at the speed of fucking light. It's like you want to have a good feeling of walking away on a high note, right? And that could just be detached from emotions. Like I can risk 10% on the next trade. And if it doesn't work out, then it's not, it doesn't feel like a loss, but in certain ways it could feel like a loss because it's like, man, that trade was so fucking amazing before that. Now I just had a fucking loss. But, logically, if you're detached from that, it's just a small loss and you were taking on extra risk to make money if it made sense. But like, it's just out of respect, man. Like there's just certain situations. If I'm going to wait all day for a fucking trade, it's like, if I'm going to keep on going in certain situations, it'll just be like, this next fucking trade has to be a better setup. If it's not a better fucking setup, or if the risk doesn't make sense, or if it's just a little shaky on the idea, then I'll give some analysis, or I'll just walk the fuck away. Like it depends, man. But like I said, out of respect for the overall setup and what I've done, and another reason why I didn't jump on that last trade for calls, that idea that I gave, is because overbought. That's why. Again, just education. There's traders out there, they don't give a fuck if something's overbought or oversold. They take the trade because they see that the momentum's there, the potential's there. They don't give a fuck. But out of education, to me, it was just like, we're a lot more overbought now. I just killed it on calls. Now we're overbought. It's like they're going to try to spike. But, in that situation, I could try to be picky and wait for a better entry. And I was looking for a better entry, but it didn't hit the better entry. So it is what it fucking is. It actually hit that better entry right around here, and then it spiked. So it happened during extended hours. But, yeah, man, we fucking crushed it. I mean, we absolutely fucking killed it on the day. That's amazing results. Big shout out to G-Roar for G-Roar for absolutely fucking crushing it. I mean, that's fucking amazing, man, to be that fucking successful on the day with a 50% win rate, 2 for 4. But if you added to those winners, it doubled to tripled each gains. So percentage wise, I mean, even with the wins factored in, you don't even have to look at that 2 for 4. You can look at that fucking 4 for fucking 6, or fucking 6 for fucking 8 in a way. It depends on how you think about it and how you trade and how you look at this. There's so many ways to look at it if you trade zero-day options, man. So listen, man, we've hit a point where like this is royalty. This is like sacred. This is fucking amazing, man. It's the first link down below in the description if you would want to join us. We have a lot of people joining. I didn't even post, and a lot of people were joining over the weekend, man. Like I'm telling you, this is the best time to get in, man. Like I just don't feel the need to shout or anything like that right now. Like this is the best time to get in, man. I'm telling you, it's the first link down below in the description. If you want to experience something completely different out of this world, man. The energy is on point. Like I said, it's just very like sacred, protected, like keen energy right now. And it's the first link down below in the description. My main focus is going to be like those educational setups, man. But if the intuition is there, I'll look to push it a little bit, but I don't want to overdo anything right now, man. I'm keeping my main focus on the highest quality of everything, right? So if I don't see the highest quality setup, then that means my intuition is going to have to outweigh my intuition is going to have to be there along with everything like price action patterns and stuff like that. But like I said, man, I'm going to continue to trade the best setups, best prices. I'm going to continue to absolutely crush it, man. The group in the community, in the company is an amazing spot. It's the first thing down below in the description. If you want to gain access to our secure private network, if you want to gain access to our chat, if you want to gain access to a real-time zero-day options trading alert system where we buy cheap, low-risk, far out-of-the-money zero-day option contracts. We're known for selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains. We have the highest win rate in the game doing this. It's the best trading alert system, and it's the best trading style. It's the best overall trading style to optimize for. If you are serious about making money, it's to trade far out of the money zero-day options. It's the best way to grow a small account, and it's the best way to trade real money, especially for those of best way to trade real money. If you're rich, you pay less, you risk less, you make the biggest percentage gains, man. It's fucking amazing. G-Roar said he's been making these type of gains just with trading with a $60,000 fucking account. It's fucking amazing, man. Six-figure weeks on a fucking six-figure weeks on a $60,000 fucking account. So it's the first link down below in the description. We don't use stop losses. Most we put into a trade is our max risk per trade. Most we lose is our max risk per trade. We increase the gains by doubling to tripling our position size. We set profit stops to ensure that we don't go green to red. And you're just going to see, man, this is fucking game changing. The energy here, everything is fucking game changing. Like fucking, I'm telling you, man, you are going to see the evolution, man. We are getting ready to fucking evolve like fucking crazy into something so much fucking bigger and greater, man. So yeah, man, just protect your energy, stay guarded. It's gonna be fucking amazing, man. I'm just focused on those best fucking setups, those mic drop fucking plays. If I'm not doing that, then I'm looking for something with the intuition, man. It's just I don't want to overdo anything. I don't want to mess up this flow, man. Just really focused and locked the fuck in, man. Not looking to overdo things and stuff like that. Is the first link down below in the description if you want to print like fucking crazy. Because I'm telling you, this group is about to take the fuck off non-fucking stop, man. I could see it. It's the first link down below. The energy is there. The market is setting up fucking perfectly, man. I'm telling you, there'll be points in your trading career, whether it's like spiritually, emotionally, whatever it is, and you just know if you keep trading, you're about to do fucking amazing and pop off, or if you keep trading, you're about to lose so much fucking money. I've been through both and the ins and outs of them, and I'm telling you right fucking now, we're about to pop off like fucking crazy on a different type of energy, on a type of energy that you're not going to see or find in any other fucking community, man. And that type of energy doesn't just spread in fucking trading. It spreads every fucking where in life, man. All realms of fucking life, man. You can carry what you gain, you know, from being you gain from the market, and all fucking realms. You can carry that energy over with you and apply it to whatever the fuck you want to apply it to, man. That's why I'm saying, man, just life's fucking amazing, man. There's so much more than trading, but man, I fucking love it. I absolutely fucking love it, man. But you know, you can love something and then turn into something that you don't like. It's like, that's why I'm saying, man, you guys have to have the awareness. If you're just not in the zone, or if something's off, just pull back. Just pull back your energy from the stock market. Take a break. Put it somewhere else. But if your energy is there and you see her popping off and living up like fucking crazy, keep it fucking there, man. Keep it there. And you could be more an observer. You could be more an observer too. If it's just not there, you could just kind of observe the market or just take a little break. But I'm telling you, when the energy is there and the state of flow is there and you feel like you're leveling up in a very high realm, a very high sense, like you're operating on different lens. Like for those of you who see it, when you're in that space, man, that's when you really need to focus. But you don't want to go too hard. Just focus on the best setups, the best fucking prices, man. And just focus on maintaining what it is that you have. Like the new you. Just focus on, you know, maintaining the level up, right? So yeah, man, I just want to bring some awareness to that, because I'm telling you, like in terms of my trading, I've been through shifts where it's been on and off. And right now the shift is very like sacred, and the energy is just like perfect. It's not too high, it's not too low. It's just in a very positive, sacred spot. And is gonna make noise in a very quiet way, in a very silent way. I could see it. So yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to it, because this is just fucking amazing, man. I've traded in all different kinds of fucking realms. I've traded, being hyped before. I'm saying the best way to fucking trade, not being hyped. It feels cool and empowering to be like, confident and stuff like that, but like not just, to be all hyped, like it's fun and stuff like that. But like to be fucking detached from the market and to be sacred and to just be very low key and to have like that perfect clear state flow where the energy just flows and you know exactly what to fucking do and when to fucking strike on that fucking trade. That is like the best place that I've ever experienced the market, man. I've experienced super fucking highs and fucking chaos in the fucking market and just, being overconfident and doing well and being all hyped. But when you're in a place where it's like very sacred and like special and like royalty type of like king type of fucking energy in the market, and you see the fucking shift, I'm telling you, man, out of all my shifts in the market, right, in terms of trading, best fucking shift has been to just be clear, to be sacred, to be detached from the market in the right sense of detachment, and to just be fucking focused, but focused in a clear way, never forced, man. Worst place to be in the market is when you feel forced to fucking do something. Or another place this can backwards. So right now I'm in this very like positive energy. If the energy like shifted to negative and I'm just like, dude, no matter what the fuck I'm doing, the trade is red. If you're in that fucking spot, it has something to do with energy too, like spiritual and stuff like that. It's like a realm too. If you're in that realm, you do not want to be fucking trading. I've been in that fucking realm before. It's like no matter what the fuck you do, it's red. Never fucking force, and just take some time off, apply some energy somewhere else, and just be aware when it comes back. That's the thing. In the market, you're going to go through shifts, but you need to be aware of the shifts and then focus on the shift you're in. You have to go through it, man. So I'm telling you, man, I've been through shifts where in certain trades or certain energy, I'm like, dude, my portfolio is just fucking declining at the speed of light. And then I've also been in shifts where like, if I keep on fucking trading, I'm about to flip a fucking account from 10K to a fucking 100K in a single fucking month. I've been through both of those fucking shifts, man. And it's fucking, I'm telling you, man, you'll know. And if it's a bad fucking shift, just be more an observer, pull back from the market, trade lightly, look for other things to apply your energy to. But when you're in that perfect state of flow, instead of trying to necessarily push it to the absolute best of limits, focus on maintaining it and not fucking losing it, right? You don't want to try to push like too fucking high and then ends up backfiring against you or something. Like just focus on maintaining it, keeping it, and gradually leveling up with it, man. I'm just telling you, man, we've hit a fucking point where the energy, I told you in the past, like royalty, now it's like king, now it's like sacred. It's just, man, it's very like, it's clear and it's amazing. It's just know exactly what to fucking do. Anything else that I don't need to do, completely detached from it, won't feel the need to go after it. It's just genuinely amazing to feel this fucking way, man. So like I said, just be aware of your shifts within the market and maintain that awareness, man. For those of you who popped off before and then also lost a fuck ton of money before, if you've been through both, you should have that awareness of like the pop up, the highs and the lows. You should have that awareness of like when you go through it and when you're aware and that conscious, you should have that awareness of like when things are about to get really good and when things are about to get really fucking bad. And you got to adapt accordingly, and you got to, go through the highs and the lows accordingly, right? So yeah, man, I just wanted to share that with you, man. It's the first link down below in the description if you would like to join us, man. I'm telling you, the group right now is an amazing position, and we've genuinely evolved, and we are going to become something much bigger and greater. You're gonna see, man, evolution is gonna be fucking amazing, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. For those of you who aren't aware, in terms of the company, Team Roar, right? That's how Team Roar. So Team Roar, we've evolved into Team Raw, right? So in terms of the name of the company, it is called Team Raw now. In terms of the lead trader in the real-time zero-day options trader system inside of Team Raw right now, right? Obviously, GROAR, right? And then the Raw chat is the community, the secured private network, which is where I'm currently alerting my trades at this time. But just know, we are evolving we are evolving into something very, very big, man. So yes, obviously you can keep the the roar and the playfulness of the roar and keep the roar extension within the chat. Of course, and roar lives on. But I'm telling you, in terms of like the name of the company, we are evolving into fucking like you're just gonna have to see for yourself, man. Some things are best to just not be potentially. Some things are best to just play for themselves on how actions play out for themselves, man. But just want to bring some awareness, man. Look, Team Raw, we've evolved into Team Raw. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be fucking amazing from here. The evolution, empire, so much more is to come. So much more is to build. And big shout out to GROAR, man. GROAR is fucking amazing. So with that being said, it's the first thing down below in the description. And also, guys, the roar is still there. Keep roar alive. The playfulness of roar as well. Just keep it all fucking alive. Whatever roar means to you as well. Keep everything fucking alive, man. Everything is fucking alive. We are growing and we are becoming fucking better. So it's the first thing down below within the description if you would like to join us. And like I said, it's just the name changed. Your subscription and your access remains exactly the same. No action is required from you. We simply changed the name. And disregard any direct message scams or anything like that. And just to make the experience more secure for you, make sure you check this section when you join. Just the don't get scammed overall section, right? The only thing we provide at this time is the Team Raw monthly subscription. It is the first link down below in the description if you would like to join Team Raw. And anything else in terms of direct messages, whatever the fuck, is fraudulent. This is all we are offering at this point in time, right? And do not engage with scammers, all these these bots, whatever the fuck in the direct message. Do not engage with that stuff, right? If you want, you can change your friend request settings into Discord to become more secure, where you don't even get contacted, by the bots and scammers, right? You can just change your friend request settings to turn off. You can turn off the option for everyone. Just turn off the option for everyone. That way people who are not in our server, who are not paying for the server, cannot contact you, cannot reach you. That's one of the problems with Discord and many other platforms, with networks and communities and DMs. You can turn that off. They can't reach you. And you can just, enable it to where the people who could send you friend requests or DM you could be the ones who are in the paid group, in the more secured private network, not that outside background noise that you can choose to disable if you like and become more secure. And not receive any nonsense notifications or anything like that, right? So you can also turn that off if you like. If you don't want to be contacted by anyone, right? There's no way at this point in time, it's been like this for years. There's no way to reach me. So there's no way to send me a direct message. There's no way to email me. There's no way to contact me. It's not possible, right? So there's no way to direct message me or anything like that. Send a friend request, but you can change your settings to that as well if you don't want to be contacted like anybody, right? You can always turn it on and off too if you want to just add someone and then change it. But within the overall chat, if you guys have questions, we will obviously answer questions and stuff like that within the chat, right? But I'm telling you, man, in terms of joining us right now, you can think of like in terms of the energy right now, it's like all-time highs, amazing flow state. Put it this way, man, just keen energy, sacred energy, just fucking silent, man, just winning in fucking silence, man. It's fucking amazing, man. The silence is gonna do all the fucking talk through the fucking trades and everything we fucking make. Like those three things, man, just keen energy, royalty, silence, sacred, 4 things. It's just fucking amazing. This is an amazing place to be. I don't expect it to show on camera, but it's the first link down below within the description. With that being said, I'm going to be signing off.